Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review from the Middleburg Film Festival. So, as I said before, this is the film festival that's the biggest for the DC metropolitan area for the film critics as we travel to Middleburg, Virginia to review some of the biggest films of the year. This film here is possibly one of the most anticipated films of the year and definitely the most watched or looked for performance, if that makes sense to you, of the year. And this movie is Spencer. And here's a quick synopsis. December 1991, the marriage of Prince Charles and Princess Diana has long since grown cold. Rumors of an affair and a divorce abound. Peace is ordained for the Christmas festivities at the Queen's estate. I know that sounded like a lot when I said that. There's eating, drinking, shooting, and hunting. Diana knows the game, but this year, things will be profoundly different. Spencer is imagining what may have happened during these fateful days. That's the most important part of this film when you go into it. This is not an autobiographical film. There is characters that we know. These are people that are very familiar to the world. This entire story is made up. Everything about it is made up. This is just it starts off by saying at the beginning of the film, this is a fairy tale based on a tragedy. And that's the best way to let you know up front, like, none of this happened. This is the director taking liberties with the story and possibly saying this could be what happened here. So let's quickly get into the cast and then we'll get fully into the film. Clearly, we have Miss Kristen Stewart playing Princess Diana. We have Timothy Spall playing Major Gregory, very sick role. And then we have Jack Furrington playing Prince Charles. We have Sean Harris playing the head chef, who is highly important in this film. And Sally Hawkins playing Maggie. This is directed by Mr. Pablo Larraín. Now, to know this director's work is to understand why Spencer is the type of film that it is. This is directly in his wheelhouse, and I kind of found it odd from the beginning when they said that Pablo would be directing this film, because I said, okay, then if he's directing it, I don't think it's going to come out the typical way that films with big characters that are known around the world come across. That autobiography type of film. I knew that couldn't possibly be what he wanted to do here. And we get that from the beginning of Spencer. As when we pick up, we see Diana traveling to the countryside for the Christmas festivities. And we get introduced to a head chef at this point in time that shows just the importance of this holiday, the importance of the Queen's residence, and how everything is taken seriously. And it kind of sets the tone up front, the expectations that would be placed on Diana. Even through everything that she's going through her marriage at this time, and we do get hints of that, she's still expected to act a certain way. And this film does a great job of saying, well, we don't know if she acted this way, but if placed in these situations, would you act this way? Like, one of the funniest scenes is when all the guests come to the Queen's estate, they have to weigh themselves before the start of the Christmas holiday. And depending on how much weight you gained is to them dependent on how much fun you had. It's a very weird thing to say. And it makes no sense. But because of what we know about the royal family, it still comes across as believable. Like, this is something that would have taken place back then. But when we get to the heart of the film, and this is one of my biggest issues with this film, it does not really portray a story of Princess Diana. Meaning, it doesn't have to be real, but at least give me something. Here we get a lot of preposition on things that she's going through and her reaction to it. It's lots of reactionary shots in this film. They play on Diana having an eating disorder, and they play on it a lot in this film. Way too much for this film to, for me, way too much in this film do they play on her having this eating disorder. And technically of her kind of losing her mind. And I think the message they're attempting to send is, in this situation, how could one control their sanity? In a situation where you know your husband's cheating, when you are not happy here, but you must maintain appearances. And I think this film does a lot for showing, or at least letting people into what we perceive as Diana keeping up appearances. It's one scene in this film where, and this is not spoiling anything, where Prince Charles has the curtains in Diana's room stapled shut. And the reason he does is because he says, people are outside, people are looking in, people are taking pictures. And Diana at this point is kind of being careless in the eyes of everyone else as it pertains to making sure things don't get out in the media, things don't get out to the press. She's kind of in the midst of losing her mind a little bit as she's attempting to deal with her situation. And in that moment when he nails the curtain shut, and then Diana does what, like, it's telegraphed in the movie that she would do, the scene then goes to an extremely dark place that it didn't ring true to the character. It didn't ring true to the film. It just felt like a shock and awe type of moment. And for a film based on someone who the world loves, it's a lot of scenes in this film that just seems to be for shock value and not necessarily for the sake of execution. But the saving grace for this film is Kristen Stewart's performance is amazing. Timothy Small's performance as Major Gregory is amazing because, in all honesty, even though we have so many known figures, so many known people in this film, Sally Hawkins' role as Maggie, Kristen Stewart, and Timothy, those are the three performances for this film. And all three are great. Like Timothy playing that, I want to say Alfred type of role where he's everywhere at once. Whenever Diana's attempting to do something, he's magically there. And it's like he's there to keep her in line. But the way he goes about it is sinister, but then you still understand it. You understand he has a job to do, and she has become his job because of her erratic behavior. And then we have her relationship with Maggie, who's her, I won't say servant, but someone who waits on her hand and foot, who helps her get dressed. And we get a lot of backstory for their relationship and the trust that Diana has in her. And at times the hallucinations that Diana has about her while having trust in her. It's very weird. Very, very weird. But the performance is great. And in the end, you're left with Spencer not learning anything about Princess Diana. And I think that's what's going to get to people the most. What you're left with is a film full of great performances. It's directed beautifully. Pablo did an amazing job at this film. It is extremely dark. I know at one point in time, people were comparing it to Jackie. And I think that's a great comparison of a film because of where Natalie Portman went with playing Jackie Onassis. It's kind of exactly where Kristen Stewart goes with playing Diana. It's a very dark film with great comedic moments in it that really helps weigh it against its dark background. But in the end, it's not a film that you're going to go in and learn anything about Princess Diana. When they tell you it's a fantasy at the beginning, believe them. It is just that. What you're here for is the ride of Kristen Stewart putting on one of the best performances of the year, playing Princess Diana. So, Spencer, brought to you from the Middleburg Film Festival. Out of a possible 10, I give Spencer a 7.5 out of 10. It is a solid film. It is a solid film with a great performance. Matter of fact, it's a solid film with an amazingly executed performance and two great performances behind it. In Timothy and Miss Sally Hawkins' performances in this film. Both are great. But Kristen Stewart is a tour de force in this film. While I wanted more of the story of Diana, and even if it's in this time period, maybe just a little bit more of her. We get a lot of her situation and not enough of her. And even when they attempt to dive into her life a little bit, it just doesn't, it comes across as, unfortunately, like a horror movie moment instead of what I think anybody who goes to see this film is expecting to see. If we got more quiet moments between her and the two actors that play William and Harry, that could have been great. It's just, again, if you know Pablo, you fully understand exactly where he wanted to go with this film, and you have to decide as an audience if you're just going to go along with the ride, or are you going to get off and then decide this is just not the movie for me? But right now, I don't think it has. I don't know for sure its release date. Sue me. But it's clearly coming up soon because we're in award season. So when you get the opportunity, check it out. Let us know what you think. This has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.